Everything. First of all, I want to say it's great to see all of you here. And I, of course, am Elizabeth Patterson, Mayor of the great city of Benicia. And we are doing great things. This is the second year for this class. And for all of you some of you are returning, some of you, this is the first time. This is really, really special experience. And sometimes we take things for granted in Benicia because we are so great. But this goes beyond a lot of what one would really expect a city to be able to do. It's critically important for us as a city because our businesses have to be able to operate efficiently and effectively. They have to be able to spend the money where it gives them the most, not on energy bills, not on inefficiencies in the operation, because that creates new jobs. When you can save some money, you can hire, and you can expand, and you can develop, and it's all those little things. Our most significant part of jobs in Solano County are small businesses. There are only a few very large firms, and they do have large number of employees, but most of the people working in Solano County are working for small businesses. And that's why it's vitally important to us as a city to make sure you have all the tools that you need to have to move forward. Now, of course, everybody knows that I'm a tree hugger, and so I like the sustainability aspect about all of this. But it's so much more than just tree hugging. It's really having the sense of the operations where you move your goods and services and how you can account for your cost. That benefits you, it benefits the new jobs, and then it benefits the city. So as you can see, I'm just like completely in this program, and I'm going to, Constance was a very forgiving person. What do we call you? The head something? Whatever. And so I can get to about half the classes, and then I watch the rest on video, so her video is really critical for me. It's pretty hard with my schedule. So again, I want to welcome you. It's wonderful seeing some old, familiar, you're not old, just familiar faces. And if you have any questions, you can always approach me during the break. I do apologize, I have to leave a little bit early tonight. It's the annual awards for the Patriots speech that the young students write, and so I show up every year because it's really quite an experience, and that's at the Veterans Hall. So we have our trusty instructors, and I love working with them. And I know that they will guide you very brilliantly through the process, and I assume that the introductions have been made because I was out of the room. Laura Lee, want to?
So good evening, everybody. Good evening. I'm glad to be here. Thanks to the City of Benicia for having us back. It's our second session. Thank you very much for the support from the Commission, the Sustainability Commission. We will do some introductions of ourselves a little later, but one of our exercises will introduce us in more detail, so we're going to skip that. And actually, we're going to talk about a few things that will make sense on how we're going to be here tonight and why. I'd like to tell you that this is a test. Last time we were here, we didn't have this new whiz-bang, super-duper flat screen, and we're hopeful that it's seeable. If it's not, we have a plan B. We have a projector that goes on the screen, but this wonderful building has a lighting opportunity. When it's still daylight, it's hard to see on the projector screen. When it gets dark, it's easy to see. And so these particular ambient light things make it more challenging to see. So we're experimenting. I hope you don't mind being our guinea pigs. We'll ask you at the end if this is doable. If it's not, let us know and we'll switch over to plan B. So we have a plan B if it doesn't work. Nancy Roberts and I, my name's Laura Lee Barbaria. We're from Dominican University. And Dominican University is steeped in sustainability, but we're under the School of Business and Leadership. All these programs are business-oriented and business-related. In fact, I was a director of the Green MBA program, and I spent 30 years in corporate America. So we're bringing to you a wonderful mesh of business viewpoints, sustainability viewpoints, because if the two don't meet, we're not going to get where we need to go. So I wanted to give you a quick overview. Nancy and I work with the Environmental Finance Center, which is part of the Dominican School of Business and Leadership. We work closely with the Green MBA program, which is an MBA program that starts with sustainability as its foundation, and then you learn your financial marketing and all the other skills you need to run businesses and nonprofits there.
By the way, one of the first such MBA programs in the country is over 10 years old.
Yes, over 10 years old.
Point of pride.
We're definitely a point of pride. Nancy and I are alumni of the program. As you can tell by our non-gray hair, we did enter the program a little later than most. I entered mine at 55, and I won't tell you how old Nancy was. Okay. The Venture Greenhouse is an incubator for green businesses that the Green MBA supports, and they bring in alumni who are coming out of business school with ideas, and they bring in people from the community. And the Sustainable Practices is sort of like a Green MBA light. So that's the only commercial you're going to hear about Dominican University and the Green MBA, but I did want you to be familiar with our school and the focus that we'll go through. That's me, but what we'll do is we'll just give you our name, rank, and serial number. You are welcome to call us or use our emails, and we'll make sure you have them on something big that you can see. Tonight, what are we going to be doing? Well, we are going to do a typical meet and greet exercise in a way. It won't take long. It's important for people to know who's in the room. We're going to talk about the session at a very broad brush level. How many people here actually have seen the brochure that tells you briefly about the 4 sessions? How many people have seen that? And how many people have not? Okay, then for those that have not, we'll also make available to you in hard copy the details. But tonight we're just going to give you kind of a brief overview. We are going to talk about the final presentations that the program is interested in, and don't let the word presentation make you nervous. What it really is we're excited about the fact that people in the room are going to leave here or have come into this room with ideas that they would like to move forward. And you have the most wonderful support system here and from the alumni of the program from before. In fact, we have a couple alumni here, Larry, for instance, who will, yes? Hello? Hello? Good to see you, who will share with you a little bit about their experience and their projects. So we will talk briefly about the projects and give you some examples so you'll walk away with a mental picture of what that could be. If you don't have an idea, no worries. We'll think about having a brainstorming session at the end. We will talk about messaging and storytelling, and storytelling does not mean that you're talking to your teddy bear or to your child on your knee. It's about how you message and tell your story to people so that they are engaged and are on your side, especially when you have topics that are exciting. So we are going to talk about storytelling briefly. We'll talk about the brainstorming session, and then we're going to close. We will end on time. We will end on time for 2 reasons. We honor your time. I apologize for being late. The technology won today. But I can also tell you that the maintenance people here stand at the door, and they really need to leave on time, so we're going to honor them and leave here absolutely on time.
Did you notice anything physical happening to you as you listened to each person say something? Did you mention, I noticed a lot of you sort of breathed. You kind of smiled, you sort of opened up, you relaxed, you became more receptive. And even though you may not have even known about the other movies or agreed with the other movies, you saw that there was a great diversity of people in the room, but you were all connected by the idea of narrative and by enjoying those kinds of stories. That feeling of connecting on a human narrative level is really important when you're trying to communicate sustainability. Okay? There are different people who approach sustainability in a different way, and sometimes that's shown by the kind of narratives that they enjoy. And it just helps us all to connect on a human level first, right off the bat. The other thing that this does, as opposed to the standard, my name is Nancy Roberts and I'm a Green MBA and I'm a faculty member, is it levels the playing field rather than setting up a hierarchy, which is also very important for understanding sustainability, because sustainability is not about top-down, it's about all of us in this together. So that was the other reason that we tried to embody the goals that we're trying to move forward with. So that's the only reason. And we'll go back to storytelling and narrative later in the program, but this is just how we wanted to open up the evening. So thank you all for participating.
The only other thing that you might consider is if any of you have employees working for you, or if you work in an organization, the moment you start talking about hierarchy, there's a pecking order in the room. And the moment there's a pecking order in a room, people start filtering depending upon what level they're at. So I happen to have worked in corporate America at a variety of pecking levels, bottom up to the top, and it became very important for trust. And for trust to be in the room, it's sometimes good not to start off with people's rank. So that's another thing to consider if you're talking to employees. And so our first session is, can you name the names of them?
Yep.
So our first session is sustainability, making the case for business. And in the situation of sustainability, as you all know, there are people who approach sustainability from the point of view is it costs more money, it can't be done, or they have some other baggage or thoughts in their mind that prevent them from thinking about sustainability and how it can help business. So one of the things we want to help you think through is being from a business school and understanding business jargon and mentality is what's the ROI, what is the return on investment, and where does it make sense to take advantage of sustainability for business, and what are the risks associated with not paying attention to it. So that's what the first session will be, and we'll give you the more detailed one after.
Second one is Lean, Green, and Clean, the Design Revolution and the Clean Tech Sector.
So this is going to be fun. Make sure you come. It's very likely that in one of the two or the second or the third session, we're going to have some speakers come in who are well versed in technology and in clean tech and how it makes sense to run your organization meaner, well, maybe not meaner, but let's say leaner and more effectively, including how you manage your people and resources. You've got three kinds of resources. You have economic resources, don't forget those. You've got people resources, which are both economic and social. And of course, what's the other resource that you have? That's absolutely one of them. That's one of your people resources. There's one more.
Capital.
There's money, people, planet, and profit, environment. Environmental assets are actually quantifiable and measurable, and you can put dollars to them. Next one.
Next one's my favorite, Green and Social Marketing, Tactics and Strategies. Be there.
And Nancy's the star of that one. Nancy's background is in marketing. It's very deep. She'll be glad to share with you her history. But understanding marketing and how it pertains to the market segments that might be interested in your products in case you're bringing new products to market, or in case you're thinking about bringing a new business to market, or just changing the way you're marketing your current products. That's the areas that Nancy will cover.
And the last one, we turn it back over to the group with action plans.
Right. So that's the four things that we'll be covering in addition to tonight's materials. So one of the things that we would like to make sure we do is listen to what we heard from our alumni last time. And one of the things we heard was it's hard to imagine what the end will look like if you don't know what a project might be. So Ponce has put together for us a small video, and then we have a couple of alumni graduates from our program, I think, who are willing to share. Larry, were you one of them maybe? Who are willing to share what their project and experiences were. We're going to start with the video first, just so you get a flavor of what a project might look like. Do not let it scare you. It's just to give you a flavor.
Was about positive messaging. And I'll preface it by saying that today I sat in interviews with our potential climate action plan coordinators, and virtually to every one of the 5 presenters said Benicia is absolutely unique and leading the way in the kinds of things that we as a city and as a commission are doing in order to promote sustainability. Of course, they were applying for a job. They would want to say nice things. Okay, so the plan is positive messaging. So our objectives is create alliances with more community groups and organizations as one of our major objectives. And then we can partner to set up a clean tech expo with businesses and firms within the community.
I am the board member of the Benicia Community Gardens, and I will be talking about the project because we're in the process of the strategic planning for the next 5 years, and it's a very big in scope and rather complex undertaking. So I'll take you through where we are now and where would we like to go, and just talk about a couple projects that are very different ourselves. If we are talking about something huge as food, where would be our area of influence? Where we could really make a difference as a small nonprofit in Benicia? We could increase awareness. And what was the most shocking for us about this system is that with all this food in and out, only 40% of California needs is actually satisfied through California Food. We could build the structures to provide support for these local farmers and local businesses that are actually doing the right thing. That we would influence the supply, the quantity of supply of food from sustainable sources, that we would address the access to healthy food and help to redistribute the excess. We're talking about wise use of resources and providing for food. And the last one, creating structures of action, because what we are finding, every time I'm addressing a group, I almost guarantee someone would raise a hand and say, I have a project, I have nowhere to go. So what people need is structures where they could bring the projects in for us. And I'm going just to take you through 3 of them because they're very different. So the first one is the community-supported agriculture, which is now nearing the completion of the implementation stage.
Garden, which Marilyn and I have been involved in since 2004 or 5, have done a lot of reading, and I'm supposed to stand still. Have done a lot of reading and studying about what's happening to the environment we live in. So we're pretty well informed, having studied these issues for many years. And I think it's safe to say that we are not among those who say there's no problem. I personally am convinced that we have a kind of convergence of problems that any one of which would be challenging, but together are going to be potentially catastrophic. So one of the things that I have been motivated to do, and some of my friends around me have also been motivated to do, is to take some of these wonderful videos that are available now and show them to people in Benicia. So this is a project to plan, starting next year, the presentation of 6 videos that we got together and selected to the public, 1 every month from January through June.
This class, I was already taking a lot of green classes. I've done a Bay-friendly training. I'm now an EPA certified water auditor as well as irrigation designer, and I have a whole lot of green medals hanging on the wall. So when I came in here, kind of what my focus was to try to continue being able to communicate the fact that I have all those green medals on the wall to clientele. And I just became qualified to do the irrigation audits, and that's something that I wanted to add to my business. So really what I'm kind of doing is thinking about what my business plan is going to be when I write it in January, which is the time of year when landscape designers get to write anything. I'm the owner of Simply Perfect Gardens. My name's Allison Fleck, just in case anybody wants to know. So what we did in class, I thought at first, okay, so my objective would be to offer irrigation audits, but in fact, that's not true. My objective is to communicate to the public in all of my forms of communication that I am eloquent in all things green and able to help them save money and resources in creating not only a livable but a comfortable space for their home where we can mix food with other things, we can save as much water as they want, we can keep water on site, anything green. So offering the irrigation audit is one of the big ticket items, truly, because it's an EPA thing.
So what I'm interested in promoting with this particular action plan is what I'm calling a sustainability pod.
and which is going to be a high efficiency, high energy efficient urban retro infill prototype. Now that's a lot of jargon, but let's see if I can define it a little better. So let's see if this works. Okay, so I'm calling it a MyPod, a sustainability pod, which is basically is going to be about creating a comprehensive model of sustainability building practices suitable for plugging into an existing downtown.
Valet parking, why bikes? Well, a lot of people enjoy riding bikes. We used to ride bikes when we were kids, and that was our first mode of transportation. I mean, we wouldn't get to Sammy's house or down the road or get an ice cream if it wasn't for learning how to ride a bike. So bikes have been a really important part of our culture for some time. For some cultures, it's the only way to get around. There is no other motorized transportation. So it's an important aspect of our transportation grid. Plus, there's the also.
Point this way.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's it. That wasn't what I was expecting to see, but it was supposed to be. Why bikes? Also because it's part of our climate action plan. We got a couple things that are highlighted. A couple of the objectives: increase bicycle pedestrian mode share, reduce reliance on conventional automobile travel. Because of Benicia, it's the second largest contributor of greenhouse gas emissions. All of the cars that are around. So it's part of our climate action plan, and that's why the bikes are a good idea to get them out there and have those facilities. Unfortunately, there aren't really facilities. I mean, the Sustainability Commission has done a great job in getting bike racks downtown, getting more opportunities out there. But for big events, when we have events downtown, what do you do? I mean, can you tie it to a tree? Is it down there? Do you know it's going to be safe? You don't know what's going to happen. So the idea, there's a lot of communities, and in fact San Francisco is mandated for many of their public outings or performances that there has to be some sort of alternative transportation facility. And so bike valet services are popping up. San Francisco, Sacramento, Portland, Seattle, New York City. A lot of places are providing a safe, secure place that you could ride your bike and go and enjoy the event.
The company I was with before, I worked with public transit, and working with the high school, it was actually pretty easy, and I actually have found Benicia High School to be a little more challenging. So what my project is to work with the high school students and the faculty to increase the school's diversion rates, keeping things out of the landfill, and to educate the students and help them with good habits so they can relay that to future students. My time frame is 8 months because I would like to get it done before they leave for the summer. And my mission to educate students and school staff on the merits of the 3 R's: recycle, reduce, reuse, and assist with a usable recycling plan.
And I don't know if you noticed, but many of the things that they said, they have not only started, but they've done. And now they're moving on to the next steps. Some of the people who presented in this particular session, they had longer-term plans. And so their goals were to start. And sometimes starting is the hardest thing to do. You got an idea, but getting out of your head is the hard part. So our expectation is that you'll leave here with an idea or a desire or something already on the books that you're going to begin. And we hope that's one of your desires too. Plus you'll come out of here with a new vocabulary. Now we have a couple alumni here who I was hoping, if we have enough time, would be glad to share with us either their experience or more about your project. And could you raise your hand if you're one of the people who volunteered to do that? I know Larry did, and you did. Sure. Yeah, just kind of a get to know each other kind of night. And one of the things we've kind of laced through the entire program is networking. Because what we heard loud and clear from the people who took it last time is we didn't have enough time to get to know each other. So we have an activity, and no, it's not speed dating. But we do have an activity for you, and it's going to be as part of your break, so if you do need to take advantage of breaking, feel free. But Nancy, you want to start them off by telling them about the activity here?
Well, it's really just a very general activity. It's just your assignment during your break. You are to enjoy your break, you are to relax, but you have to meet at least one person in this room that you don't know already. It's for some of you that may be a challenge.
One?
Yeah?
Nah.
Yeah?
Two.
Two. Okay, at least two.
At least two.
At least two.
So we just did something in this room that worked. Did you guys feel the energy for the last 15 minutes? Yes. people want to meet people, and people want to share their stories. And so when you're trying to think about icebreaker, and you're in charge of trying to get information from a small group of people at the park who in your mind you'd like to get to know, or a room full of people like this, if you can figure out mechanisms, icebreakers, or ways to get them to talk about themselves so they get to know each other, it's just like the movie thing at the beginning that Nancy started. What happens? You relax, and all of a sudden your mind's open to ideas because you connected at a different level. So it doesn't matter where you work, and I guarantee you, in corporate America, they spend lots of time and money figuring out how to connect to people. Because if you don't connect to people, the people at the levels that do the real work don't understand the mission at the top, or the people who are doing something that nobody likes won't play. So this, one of the skills that you just came away with from here is an idea of an icebreaker that you can take anywhere. You can use movies. Some people use pie. What's your favorite pie? Because it's personal. That's something you remember from when you were a kid. And so those are the kinds of things that you can use. But be sure if you have an icebreaker, you always tie it back to the reason you had the icebreaker. You don't just break the ice of the room. An icebreaker is getting people to know each other just because. Try and tie it back to the reason that you're chatting with them. Cool?
You don't think about people. I grew up without ever have any pies. I don't even know what a pie was.
Yeah. So we need to think of something. So
that's a bad example.
That's a terrible example.
Yeah.
So let's think. If you were going to do it, something that was an example that was something that would be real to your heart, what would you have chosen?
What would I have chosen?
Yeah.
Oh, I probably thought something like mooncake or something, which you never heard of, right? Mooncake.
Desserts. Maybe something sweet that was special, or dessert. Would that work?
Yeah, mooncake. Yeah,
and movies didn't work either because you didn't grow up, or you don't like movies or see movies. Yeah. So we'll think of an alternative. So we learned a lesson. Please continue to teach us. Do you remember in the beginning we started talking about action plans? So now it's time to kind of get a flavor for the room, because Nancy and I have every intention of tailoring our materials to match what this room needs. And so we're going to ask first if people have come to us with an idea, even if it's just an inkling, and we don't care if it's something you think will work.
An idea for your action plan.
An idea for your action plan. So we are going to go across like this so that people in front, I'm sorry, you can pass. And we'll come back to you, but we are going to go like this so you can know that we're going to get to everybody in the room. My biggest challenge when I talk about storytelling is a large number of the people in the group don't like it right away. Storytelling is for girls. Storytelling is for moms and children. So I'm here to explain to you why storytelling is one of the most valuable skills you can have, so you can get rid of that mindset that you might have that storytelling is not your cup of tea. Because when I learned about storytelling, I tell you it was not my cup of tea. Use these words. This is how I will message, or this is how I will tell my story. If you can't stand the word storytelling, flip it. But what we're going to talk about today is storytelling, because people throughout time have been telling story to get a message across to people so they carry it here and understand it here. So we're going to talk about storytelling. I wonder if my slides will work. Since I can't see it. The next time we will consider using a different screen. So we're going to talk about the story of change. How do you change people's mind? And the answer is you change people's mind by changing the story. That's how you change people's mind. You change the story. What story are you changing? You're changing the story that's in their head. Because everybody has a story in their head. It's a story that is premised on what you learned as a child. It's a story from what your mom told you. It's a story of what society told you. And these days, it's a story about what the media tells you. And it does matter what media you listen to, because you don't hear the same story from all the media channels that we listen to. Everybody changes story to make story what they want. And so we're going to just talk about story. You're going to get to tell a story. I'm going to tell you a story. Sorry, Constance. I'm going to tell you my story in 3 minutes. Today we started off kind of talking to each other. Why do we do that? To open up your minds so that you're ready to hear what the rest of the people in the room want to say. So I'll tell you my story in 3 minutes. I'm a third generation San Francisco girl. And from a very young age, yes, that's me, I wanted to stand as tall as I could, climb as high as I could, and jump off things because I was driven by excitement. But I was of the vintage where my choices were I could be a teacher, at least so I thought. I could be a nurse, or so I thought, and a few women here might be shaking their head. Or I could be a secretary. And actually, that didn't sound like jumping off to me. I also was a social animal, as you saw from my phone, and I liked to play. And I liked competition. So my mission in life was to see how far I could skip a stone. When I got older, my mission in life was to see how many bones I could break. I have broken 22 bones. And I lived to tell the tale. So, my hair was better there. See how long it was? But back here, my hair was short. And there, look the same? See anything similar about that? Something happened to the hair there. I didn't want to be a teacher. I just didn't want to be a nurse. I didn't want to be a secretary. I really wanted to do something exciting, so I decided I'd play professional tennis. Problem, I blew out my knee. So what did I end up doing? I ended up working in corporate America for 30 years. I lived on a treadmill where you couldn't run fast enough, you couldn't make people happy enough. I ran 32 hospitals, I had hundreds and hundreds of people working for me. I traveled all over the world, but it wasn't exciting. It wasn't like being outside. So, life's too short. I jumped. I was about change and excitement. Eek, what in the hell was I thinking? I went to a green MBA program and I was the oldest doggone person there. Talk about multi-generational chaos. I didn't even know how to do a cite. What do they mean, cite something? And what in the world do they mean by peer review? So Nancy and I were in the same class, believe it or not, and we got to experience multi-generational things like they don't understand anything that I'm saying. And frankly, I didn't understand what they were saying either. I have a new job now. Because of the Green MBA program and changing my life, I am able to travel around the world and work on environmental finance. I help things be better in the outside world. I help things be better in my inside world. I work with tribes, marginalized people around the world. And I know that businesses and organizations, because I did come from the business world, I couldn't even spell green. There was only money, can be a force in the world. So what do I want to do with my life? I'm going to reset it. I just changed the story. Because everything I did was worthwhile. So I changed the story. So I, in less than 3 minutes, gave you a story. And hopefully what that did was now we are together. Because there's some part of my story that might have resonated with you somewhere in there. Or if not, you think, oh boy, then we didn't. But story was powerful there. Now, do you go tell everybody your personal story when you're in a business environment? No, but what the good speakers do, or somebody's trying to convince an audience, is they tell about a piece of themselves that's relevant to what they're talking about. So absolutely, you share a piece of your story. And I just told you a story. So what we're going to do is think about, why do you tell a story? Facts do not have the power to change someone's story. What story am I talking about? We're talking about the story that's in your head. My facts that I tell you about any topic, the best facts on the planet, will not change your mind. It's proven. However, the moment you connect to somebody's heart or something that resonates with them so their mind is opened, and the way that they can prove that people's mind opens, then you have the chance for people to internally change their own story. These are the people that believe in storytelling. For those of you who say storytelling's for girls, Microsoft pays lots of money to have people come in and train you on how to tell story. I personally have been trained by some of the best storytellers in the world, so I know how to tell a story. Procter & Gamble, the Environmental Defense Fund, the World Bank, Nike, NASA, Biodiesel Forum. How about the women at the park who are out there watching their kids on the swings? Do you think they're telling each other stories about their lives and what's going on? How about your nonprofit? There's a nonprofit person here, where is it? Yeah, I thought, well, look at that. So how about your nonprofits? Do you have a story about your mission that you need to tell the world? You've got a story. So what we're talking about here is how to frame a story. You get to do a story yourself. We all have input. It comes from where? Our family, our friends, media. That's the software. This is the hardware that we change. Where's my IT guy? There's the hardware that we change. We have hardware in our mind that can be changed. Firmware. Oops, not that one.
There once was a beautiful, busy, award-winning library, but times were hard, and the city of Troy, Michigan no longer had enough money for its library.
It's a true story.
So it scheduled a vote, asking for a small tax increase. This angered a well-organized and well-funded anti-tax group who started posting vote no signs and making noise. They shifted the conversation from library, books, and reading to taxes, taxes, taxes. The library needed help. They needed something attention-getting, audacious, maybe even vile. So we formed a group of our own and planted signs around town that said, "Vote to close Troy Library August 2nd, book burning party August 5th. And people went straight to our Facebook page.
You people are so
We created videos.
Imagine this times 200,000. How cool is that?
Posted on Twitter.
The Troy Library might be short on money, but it has books to burn.
Created items for sale.
A book bag. How ironic.
We created check-ins, posted flyers, and lined up entertainment.
You guys are booking a band?
People became enraged.
Why would you burn books?
This
Idiots.
is horrible. What the f is this world coming to?
Shut this page down.
Jerks.
They debated the merits of libraries and the audacity of burning books as the conversation spread from Facebook to city council meetings. From newspapers to TV, it grew from local to national, even international news. That's when we revealed our true message. A vote against the library, like a vote to burn books. And people started sharing and reporting all over again. We had changed the conversation completely, from taxes, 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 to library, library, library. And on August 2nd, the yes voters turned out at levels 342% greater than projected. The library won by a landslide. Not every story at the library has a happy ending. Fortunately, this one did.
So this is not a political statement. In case you saw anything on there that might be politically uncomfortable for you, this is not my political statement. What it is a statement about changing a story, right? They changed the story dramatically. This is a true story. There is a thing that did happen as a result of this story. The library hired an outside consulting firm to put together that story. Actually, the library was not pleased with the results. Not all the employees were pleased. And why not? They weren't pleased because they didn't want to be visible to the world on what troubles that they had. So there's a cultural thing that happened there. Even though they succeeded in telling the story, there was a cultural impact that wasn't all positive. Because I went, is this real, when I first saw this video? And the answer is yeah. But it did have an impact. Do not try this at home. Because all this is an example of somebody manipulating or telling a story to change people's minds. The point here is, it did change people's minds, and how you craft your message in your story can do that. So you all are probably thinking, I could never tell a story. And the answer is, oh yes, you can. So let's talk about what these stories have in common. Protagonist, a story that goes, I wanted something and I got it, is boring. People want there to be something, a barrier that you overcame, and you guys nailed it right, absolutely. Stories often are like an act of a play. There's a first act, a first set, second set, third set. It could be your personal story here. It could be my company started and I couldn't even put 2 nickels together. It could be we realized that the children in Africa didn't have any drinking water, Act 1. Act 2, got past the barrier, oh, doggone it, there's another barrier. Oop. Doggone, there's another barrier. And then you either achieved or maybe you didn't achieve your goal. You don't always have to have a happy ending. If you want to have impact, sometimes the best ending, or the most impactful actually, is one that was not a happy ending. So when you're crafting story, and as you're starting to think about how to craft a story, because we're going to send you away tonight just holding that in your mind, it's a tool. This is nothing more than a tool to share a message. It's only one tool. It's a very powerful tool used by leaders all over the world, and leaders in their families, leaders in their communities, and leaders come in all shapes and sizes. They can be your 3-year-old telling a story. It could be your 12-year-old. It could be my 85-year-old mom. Everybody's got a story. Or it can be the CEO of a company who told how he got there or how she got there. Or it could be a nurse. It could be anything that you want. It's a story, and what does it do? It opens people's hearts and that software and hardware in their head so they can change a story that they might have had about that topic. I might have had something in my mind about women who are unable to feed their children. I probably had something in my mind. Now I have a different story maybe. I could have had something in my mind about, whatever, pick your topic. I don't want to pick on anybody in particular. So remember, you want to change somebody's mind so it's open to receive your facts. You have to have facts often to make your point. But to get them ready to hear the facts, you got to open up the brain. So that's how we're going to end this tonight. We're going to end with the art of story. If you want to make change, you have to change the story.